Hey everyone, it's Marc Sabatella from Mastering MuseScore, and welcome. I might be having audio problems. I sure hope not, but I don't know. Let me know if you can hear the music. Let me know if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Can you hear the music? No music. Yeah, that's I gotta. Geez. We can get by without this for what I want to do today. In fact, we can get by really well without the music today. But I'm not sure why this would be the case. And yeah, I'm just gonna grin and bear it, right? So what I want to do is what I intended to do today. We don't need this for. In fact, I'm just not even gonna sweat it. What we're gonna do is take a look at the music that I played at the end of last week's session, and we're going to just do some sight singing on it and some talking about it. And everything that I want to demonstrate about it, I can do just with singing and playing the keyboard and all. Oh, the keyboard's not coming through either, though, right now. So we'll just sing. I don't know why this is the case. You don't hear this, right? You're not hearing my keyboard? I believe that is the case. And I have no idea why that should be. Last time that happened, it was for a really silly reason that I eventually figured out. And I just don't remember what it was. Anyhow, let's just not worry about it, okay? What I want to do is focus on this piece of music here, and we are going to we'll just try to sing this thing, all right? And so, and yes, jazz. So let's talk about jazz for a moment before I come back to this. I am planning for next month's worth of the musicianship skills workshop. I'm going to do some lessons having to do with improvisation. So that's going to be something that we're going to look at in the next month. Is improvisation related things. So let's take a look at this bit of music here, okay? And I want us to take a look at it and try to sing this melody. So I'm going to tell you what this is. I talked about it a little bit last time for those of you who were there. Otherwise, this is a piece that my wife and I wrote for an event called the World Singing Day that happened a couple weeks ago. And it's just a sort of informal, organized thing where some local musicians here started, by here I mean in Colorado, started this thing of saying, hey, let's have a day where people just get together and sing and have organized activities around it. And so different places around the world have organized their own activities around that. It's maybe bigger in Colorado where it started than it is elsewhere, but I looked at the list of events, and it was a pretty long list of events. So anyhow, they had a theme song that they had written that they were encouraging everyone to sing and make videos of and so forth, and that's fine. We already missed out on that. But Kari and I, my wife, got inspired to try to write our own bit of music to do something similar, to have, something different to get together and sing. So we're going to do this. So we can't literally all, like, even if we did the thing where I bring people on to talk, I know it's going to, not actually work, right? If we all try to sing at the same time, it's just going to be scrambled by the internet. So what's going to happen is we're just going to sing it together. I'm going to sing, you're going to sing along, but we're going to try to just look at this melody and sort it out in our heads. It's completely diatonic. So the idea was we wanted to write something that, like their official music, would be a diatonic melody that would work as a round. And I took it on myself to say, oh, it's not, I don't want to just have it work as a round. I want to do a canon at the fifth and do all this other fancy stuff, because they did all sorts of fancy stuff with theirs too. But I wanted to make sure it also worked as a round so that we could just do a real simple version of it. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to try to sing this melody together. And so if you're at a place where you're comfortable singing, great. If not, then you just get to listen. But, you know, that's what we do here anyhow, right? It is, of course, bothering me that I can't get the whole playback thing is not working correctly. I just can't guess why. And it was something so silly last time. And I just don't even remember what it was. Oh, well. So we're going to try this, and we're going to just look at it. So it's in the key of A flat. And so this is low for sopranos, but it's great for altos. It's also maybe if you take it down an octave, it's low for tenors, but great for basses. And but just deal with it the best you can in your range. So you can't hear my A flat, but I know A flat. And this is the lowest note of the melody, right? So if you take a look at the melody, you see the first note, A flat, is the lowest note. So you want to pick an A flat that's, you know, towards the bottom of your range. And for me, A flat, I got room to go, another fifth below that. But so find the A flat. I'm not going to sing this one, because if I sing that one, I have to go a whole nother octave higher, and a little higher than that too, right? So you're going to have to go an octave and a third. So when it comes to the idea of creating a nice sing-along song, this piece is entirely too rangy. Entirely too rangy. I should not have written a piece that needed an octave and a third. But we can totally change the last few notes if I decide I'm going to worry about that. All right, so it's mostly steps. That's a thing that we talked about when we were talking about, you know, ear training related things, sight singing related things a couple months ago. That melodies that are mostly steps are a little, you know, easier to sing than when there's leaps. The leaps are mostly leaps of a third, which is, you know, easier than other leaps. There's one larger leap here, but it's from 5 to 1, from sol to do, which is, you know, one of the easier leaps to get down. So I know the piece, so I'm going to sing it reasonably well, but I just want you to try to sing along with me. What I'm going to do is we're going to take it a couple measures at a time, and I want to give you practice at it before I even try to sing. So you're literally just looking at it. So we're going to take that first 3 measures, okay? Universal song, and just that, and all sing it together, except I'm not going to sing the first time, okay? I'm just going to count to, I'm going to give 2 beats. Dun, and then you go. All right. So here we're going to go. I'm going to give you the 2 beats, and then I just want you to try singing that, and then I'll sing, and then we'll do it again, and I'll sing along. 1, 2. All right. That's it. Just those 3 measures. Let's do that again. 1, 2. All right, now I will actually sing with you. 1, 2. Universal song. That's it. If you have any doubts about where you're at with that, if you think that maybe that leap you might have leapt down too far or not far enough, or that final leap there, if you leapt up too far or not far enough, one of the things you want to do is look at where you've just finished singing. Universal song, and then think about where do is. There's do. There's where I just ended up. And if you do the math on that, you see that is scale degree 5 or sol. Does it feel like do, sol? And yeah, it does. Do, re, mi, fa, sol. So you want to be checking yourselves on things like that, singing a few measures at a time, and then, you know, taking the last note that you just ended on and then seeing if it's where you think it is. So let's go on from that. Universal song. Then the next note is a step higher. It's going to be you. And we're going to sing the next 4 measures. And again, I'll sing first. No, I mean, you sing first. We try it with just you singing it. And then we kind of go from there. And so I'll have you guys sing it a couple times first, then I'll sing along. Here's your first note. You. And I'll give you 2. 1, 2. You. Stop there. All right, let's try that again. You. 1, 2. And stop there. I'll actually zoom in to make sure that anyone looking at it on a smaller screen has a, you know, maybe better shot of getting this here. So there's your piece again. Now this time I'll sing it with you. You. 1, 2. Unison and harmony. And again, I'm going to check my last note. There's my note, and there was my do that I started on. There's my note I ended on. Do, sol. I feel pretty good about that. You want to have that pitch memory of do, right, when you do this. So let's sing that together again. You, 1, 2. Unison and harmony. All right, good. Let's go on. I'll actually switch maybe to, well, I'd like to switch to, whatchamacallit, view. Continuous view, so I can get, but it looks like I can't get to the control here if I've made my window smaller. That's quite unfortunate, right? So let me move my chat window elsewhere and make this full screen, and then I can get to the continuous view control, and that way I don't have line breaks to get in the way. So we just sang unison and harmony. The next phrase just repeats the word harmony. So we're just going to sing from there, from harmony to the end of the line. Harmony, sharing life today. All right? So let's do it. Ha is our first note, and I'm going to just ask you to sing on your own, and then I'll join you. 1, 2, ha. Okay, try that again. Ha, 1, 2, ha. Okay, now I'm going to sing it with you. And once again, the phrase ends on sol. This is going to be one of the things about rounds, like this is eventually going to be, we're going to sing this as a round, spoiler alert, which isn't a phrase I use a ton, but I keep using it here for some reason. But when you're writing a round, there's often a certain repetition of the harmonies that means that phrases are going to continually wanting to start on the tonic triad and likely end on the dominant triad. So we're going to see phrases starting on scale degrees 1, 3, or 5, and phrases ending on scale degrees 5, 7, or 2. That's the dominant triad. And I didn't do that here. I wanted to not sound like every other round in the world that starts every phrase on the 1 and ends every phrase on the 5, because they get boring. It takes a little more work to create a round where to create a round where the harmonies are anything other than just 1 and 5 back and forth, but I did it. And Colleen, I would be thrilled if you were singing better than me. I would be absolutely thrilled, and thrilled to hear you saying that. Okay, so I'm gonna sing this with you now. Okay, 1, 2, harmony, sharing life today. And A's again. There was my do. I still remember my do. There was my last note. So that's our melody. Okay? I'm going to flip back to page view so we can see it, the whole melody together, because that seems like that'll be better for that purpose. And now we can see the first 2 lines together, right? Universal song, unison, and harmony, harmony, sharing life today. This, by the way, lyric-wise, this is haiku. Universal song, 5 syllables, unison and harmony, 7 syllables, but I decided to repeat the harmony with that little call and response, right? Harmony, harmony, just that little repetition there. That was my my little nod to how a lot of counterpoint was done in the Renaissance, especially with repeating phrases. But it also just made sense to me. And then the last phrase, sharing life today, 5 syllables. So that the traditional 5 syllable, 7 syllable, 5 syllable model for haiku is what we're using here. So we're going to start at the beginning now, and we'll just sing it together. All right. So, good enough. I'm going to count 2, and we're just going to sing that thing together. 1, 2, universal song, unison and harmony, harmony, sharing life today. There it is. Let's do that one more time. And then we'll talk about what's involved in making a round out of this, because I mentioned I did some unusual things here. So let's sing it, that melody again, all the way through that far. 1, 2, universal song, unison and harmony, harmony, sharing life today. So that's the melody. When I say that this melody works as a round, it's not an accident, right? I had to plan to make that happen, but the way I went about it is I deliberately wanted to make it more interesting, as I said, than the typical round. So let's talk about what a typical round might actually look like here. In a typical round, so first of all, let's take a look where it's going to come in. It's going to come in 2 measures later, right? Which is very common, right? The melody is going to be in these little 2-bar phrases. And if you look at the melody here, universal song, it very much seems like that's 1 and then 5, versal, 1 song, right? It's 1, 5, 1 as far as the implied harmony. And that's the typical thing. We expect 1, 5, 1. Maybe a few rounds might go 1, 4, 1. But once you've established that harmonic pattern, the idea would normally be, well, you just keep writing phrases that have that pattern. Any phrase that goes 1 and then 5 is going to work simultaneously with any other phrase that is a 1 chord and a 5 chord, right? It's it more or less. You might have to do a little fiddling here and there with the notes to make sure your dissonances get resolved appropriately, but it's probably going to happen automatically. If you write a measure that's basically outlining the 1 chord and then a measure outlining the 5 chord, chances are it's just going to work. So in fact, because it's fun, I'm going to do one real quick. I'm just going to write a really simple version of this round so that you can kind of get a sense of the process. And I don't know what I just pressed, but apparently it wasn't Control-N to press to open a new score, or it's locked up, one or the other. No? Come on, new score, Control-N. No? How about File, New? I wonder if that window is already open. Ah, it is. It's already open. That's the deal. And there is a bug fix already put in place for that. So I already had a dialog here for that. So I'm going to go ahead and just say I want, I'll go ahead and pick the Choral SATB closed score template. So if I write a little melody, and let's go ahead and put the sucker in A flat like the other one was, A flat, and I'll just put in that same beginning melody. And then, was it dotted? See, I've already forgotten. It's my melody. Dum, bum, and then boo, dum. So this is in 4/4. Let's change it to 2/4 to be like the other one was. If I then just take this melody as is and copy and paste it down here, move it down an octave, all I have to do is keep going 1 chord, 5 chord, 1 chord, 5 chord. And I could totally have made this be that really kind of generic kind of round. So if you look at what's actually going on in this third measure, oh, you can't hear that, right? That's okay. Bottom with bottom underneath it. And then if I wanted this ba-da to feel like a 5 chord, I would just put something against it here that also felt like a 5 chord. So the bottom note is on a D flat, so I could maybe hold on to the E flat, but I really want the G. The G is like going to be the defining note for what makes it feel like the 5 chord, because that's the leading tone. So if I did this, ba-do-dum, ba-do-da-da-dum, I'm not claiming that's a great melody, but that G would harmonize nicely with the D flat and B flat that was in, that we are kind of committed to, because this is a round. We're doing that whole follow the leader thing. So by having the G against D flat and B flat with a G on top, all we need is a bass to be singing E flat. And we got ourselves a lovely E flat 7 chord there. And that is the idea here. As long as your melody keeps going something resembling the 1 chord, something resembling the 5 chord, something resembling 1, something resembling 5, is going to keep working. So now I can take those measures here and copy and paste them down here. And now I have boo-da-dum, which is 1, 5 harmonically, 1, do-dum, 5, So I'm singing the roots and I'm singing the melody. These skills that I talked about, months ago, of being able to sing the roots of the chord progression while singing the melody and all, here it is. It's coming in handy when you're doing a live stream presentation and your computer playback isn't working for some strange reason. And I know I'm going to feel like an idiot as soon as I sign off from here and discover what is going wrong. But yeah, it was something really just silly and simple. And I'd be danged if I ever am able to figure out what it is. But so then I can just write something else now. Now that I have that one chord, that's scale degree 3, scale degree 5. The thing that's going to make it complete as a one chord is the tonic. So let's go ahead and just put a tonic in there. And maybe I'll just make it be see, now I've already got my melody going way too rangy, so I'm not going to do that. Maybe I'll go The idea here is I'm looking to harmonize what's on the bottom. I've got a C on the bottom, so I've got an A flat above it. I've got an E flat on the bottom, so I either want I want a C above it, because C of those three notes, E flat, C, A flat, C, and E flat, right? The three notes of the one chord of the A flat triad. Of those notes, the E flat is the fifth of the chord. I really want to hear, I don't want to hear root and fifth together any more than I need to. I want to hear the third as much as possible. I guess that's really the best way of putting it. I don't want to just hear roots and fifths. So when the bass here is on that fifth, I'm putting the third against it. When the bass was on the third, I'm happy with either the root or the fifth against it. So, all right, bye, Colleen. So anyhow, that should work just fine also. And then you can just keep going this way, right? Just keep putting melodies that harmonize with the one chord, melody that harmonize with the five chord, 1, 5. And you get something that works. But that's not what I did in this piece. What I did in this piece is a little unusual. If you look at the actual phrase here, this phrase, universal song, is a 3-measure phrase. So it's not sticking to this model of 1 chord, 5 chord, 1 chord, 5 chord that alternate in 2-measure chunks. The very first phrase is an odd length. And so that means the way all the harmonies are going to line up is going to be different. It's not going to just follow that continually repeating model. And that was a partially deliberate choice of mine, but it also has to do with the fact that when I first wrote this, it wasn't going to be about this imitation at the octave like this. The imitation was going to be a perfect fifth away instead of an octave away. But yeah, I ended up with a 3-measure phrase, and I was happy with it. So this is definitely where I wish y'all could hear the playback on this, but we're just going to sing it, and then I might do something else to allow you to hear it, like actually turn on my speakers, because that would totally do it. But we're not going to go there yet. We're going to try to sing this thing. So we're going to sing the melody as is, and then we can go ahead and try it in a round. So let's just sing the melody one more time, because it's been a little while, all right? And hopefully some of you are singing out there. I know some of you are like in office environments and so forth, but you know, if you're anywhere where you can sing, do. It's fun, and it's instructional. It's healthy, it's good for you, and it's fun. So we're going to sing that melody again, then we're going to try it as a round, okay? 1, 2, universal song, unison and harmony, harmony, sharing life today. And that is the round. When you do this, if we actually count the number of measures, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Because of that weird 3-measure phrase at the beginning, this thing is an odd length. It's 13 measures long. That's just the way it is. And so it's going to have this sort of perpetual motion feel to it, more so than something that's in these little 4-measure boxes. All right. Now that we've done that, we're going to try this as a round. So in order to pull that off, I think I am going to go back to continuous view, and we're going to scroll as necessary to pull this off. I'm going to start singing here, and you all are just going to come in 2 measures later while I sing. Okay? So I'm going to start singing, and I'm going to keep singing, and I'll scroll as we go, and you just sing 2 measures later. I'll point to you when it's your turn. Okay? Couldn't be any simpler than that, right? So I'm going to start singing. I don't even need to count off. Just wait 2 measures and then come in. When I get to the word song, you come in with unit. Okay? Let's give it a shot. You all know what a round is? Let's do it. Universal song, unison and harmony, harmony, sharing life today. Yeah? Let's try it again. This time I'll actually highlight your part because that's more interesting than highlighting my part, right? You don't need to see my part. So I will highlight your part. And yeah, let's do this thing again. Universal song, unison and harmony, harmony, sharing life today. All right. How are you feeling about that? I'd love to know if this is like sounding anything, like if you all are able to sing along and say, hey, that sounds like a round. Should, right? Totally should. In fact, you know, you could let the delay in the live stream work in my favor here if I could make it time out so that delay was exactly 2 measures. Then I could turn on the speaker and then I would be singing in counterpoint with myself. But I have no idea how long the delay actually is. So let's try this again, but this time you're going to start, and then I'm going to come in, all right? So I'm going to count to 2, and then you start with the universal song, and when you get to song, I'm going to come in and just keep going, all right? Just give me your notes, so I'll count, give you 2 beats. 1, 2. Let me start it over just to make sure that's clear. You're starting first. I'm coming in. Okay, so I'll kind of get started with you, but then I'm going to back off and then come in for real here. 1, 2. Universal song, unison and harmony, harmony, sharing life today. And that's where it would start over again, and it starts overlapping again, right? And because it's an odd length phrase, it overlaps kind of interestingly and differently, but it's still the same round. So I don't know. This is something I wanted to do today, both to have an opportunity to do the singing, to talk about the sight singing aspect, but also to talk a little bit about the counterpoint, a little bit about how those triads work out. But in order for me to go to the next level with this, I really, really would want to have the playback working. So I'm going to try something. I'm going to just power cycle my mixer. And I'm going to kill my screen share thingy, the window that I was screen sharing. Okay, so the question is, can you hear that? Did that like magically fix something? That would be lovely if it just magically fixed something, because it says my microphone is coming in from here. No, did not magically fix anything. Oh well, that's just life. So what I'm going to do instead is I am going to set MuseScore to play. Oh! No, because you say you can't hear my keyboard, so it has nothing to do with how MuseScore is playing, but that's still okay. I'm just going to have my computer play through my speaker for now. So now the microphone's just going to pick this up. Right? You can hear that now because it's coming through my speaker. It's maybe not as loud as it could be, but at least you can hear it. Yeah. So we're going to go with this for a little bit so I can play you a little bit of this, and we're going to sing along to the playback. All right. So let me bring up the mixer here, make sure that my volume level's all the way up there. And yeah, we're just going to try this now. We're going to pick apart your. In fact, I'm going to switch to the basic sounds, which are louder than the non-basic sound. I mean, than the Muse sounds version. So if I switch to basic sounds, and reset my mixer because I had mixed it to work around quirks in the Muse sounds here. So now we should be hearing, y'all can hear that decently enough, I would hope. In fact, I can just still turn this up a little bit more, get a little more out of it. So I'm going to press play on this thing so we can hear it again, and you'll hear it the round, and then I'm going to stop it and we'll talk about the next section of it. So here's how it sounds. Here's just the melody that we've already heard. Now here comes the round. The next section, the round is going to continue. So it's going to continue exactly as it did before. And even though it's a 13-bar phrase, it just sort of works out in how I line things up, that it is still not going to be a problem. The melody starts again after those 13 bars, and then the other thing comes in 2 bars later, and it's just okay. So, but what I'm adding here is a soprano part on top of it. The soprano part doesn't have words yet. It's what we call a descant. And it's just a high part that's typically in a descant slower moving than the main melody is a common thing, or faster moving, but slower moving is probably more common, I think. I don't know. You all can comment about that, based on your all experiences. But mine is mostly a slower moving descant. So it's the exact same round. It just has a third part on top. And what I'm doing to make that happen is focusing on the missing note of the triad, right? Because I got 2 parts in my round. And remember, I was focusing on the third so much. I have a lot of roots and thirds. I basically don't have as many fifths. So you're going to see a lot of fifths of chords here, a lot of E flats where the A flat chord happens. But let's hear that. Okay, so that's that section. And when we talk about this harmonically, I said it's not just 1 5 1 5. Let's look at what actually happens. 1 5 1 4 1. That chord there is kind of a 6th chord. It's like an F minor chord. 6. and then it goes down to 4, 6, 4, 5. And then these are just moving sixths, right? These lines are moving in sixths. So it's what we call word painting on the word harmony. It's like after we've had this counterpoint, different rhythms happening at one place, here's a place where both voices are moving together rhythmically. That's one reason why I did that repetition, so I could make that happen. And so they're moving in parallel sixths. And by moving in parallel sixths, it's, hard to say exactly what the harmony actually is there. There's no bass, but that's a 5 chord there, right? An E flat while we hear a G and an E flat there. That's the 5 chord. And then again, we hear a 6 and a 4. 6, 4, 5, 1, 5. So instead of just being limited to 1 and 5 back and forth, I've got 1, I've got 4, I've got 5, I've got 6. I've got, a few different chords floating around. It's still pretty simple harmonically, right? But that's what's going on. And then the same is true when I add the third voice. It's just filling out those chords. 1, 5, 1, 4, 1, 4, 5, 6. I can't think at the same time that I'm can't think numbers while I'm doing this. 4, 1, 6, 5, and then again 6, 6, 4, 5, 4, 5, 5. 4, 5, 4, 5, 1, 5, 1. So I really kind of worked to make it not just that same 1, 5 over and over again. Just by bringing in 4s and 6s where I could, you get a little more happening. So the next section is where this is really the last section. I bring in a bass part, but I also change. I change the harmony. I change everything really. What's happening here is this is the part I wrote first, and I didn't write it with the descant or the bass. I just wrote the alto and tenor part. This is a canon. So when I say a canon, what's the difference between a canon and a round? Well, a round is a type of canon. A canon is anything that involves strict imitation. Canon kind of means rule, right? So if I give you a rule that says, come in 2 measures later and sing an octave lower, that's what we did already, right? That's a rule. Come in 2 measures later, sing an octave lower. That's a rule. And by making it be an octave lower or same pitch, that's what makes it a canon. We're singing the same melody at a certain distance later at the same pitch or an octave above or below. But canons don't have to be always about the same pitch. Canons can be, say, a canon at the third, meaning the second melody comes in a third higher or a third lower than the original melody. So I'm calling this a canon at the fifth. The melody, our original melody is here. Right? But the imitation starts on E flat. It starts on scale degree 5. Right? It's the same melody, but starting on the fifth. So when we say canon at the fifth, there's actually some discrepancy in terminology. Some people would call this a canon at the fourth because I'm literally a fourth below the original melody. The original melody was A flat, A flat, octave 3. This is E flat octave 3. So it's coming in a fourth below the melody. Other people say, well, yeah, but let's just think of it conceptually as being higher because we like to think about intervals higher. I think in terms of scale degrees more than I think in terms of the literal above or below. So I like thinking of this as a canon at the fifth, but I know many textbooks would call it a canon at the fourth. But in any case, it's coming in a fourth below. I think it's because my background in fugues, we call that the fifth. We're coming in at the fifth, at the pitch level of scale degree 5. So that's why we fugue people would call this canon at the fifth. So it's not going to be exactly the same melody, but this is actually the melody I wrote first. I then had to make little adjustments to it to make it work as a round. But let's listen to it. It's almost the same thing, except for where it's not. Let's listen to it. So what you discover is I originally wrote this melody that was exactly as the one that we've been singing. Universal song, unison and harmony. That much. However, my original melody didn't go harmony. It went harmony. Came down to scale degree 4 instead of harmony, instead of ending on scale degree 7. And when I wrote it this way, that's because that's what made it work with my canon at the fifth. But if you try to do that with an octave, it ended up being dissonant. In fact, I can flip over here and you can see harmony. If I had changed this to harmony, that would have been a D flat, and that D flat would have come in against that E flat. And actually, it's not that that wouldn't have worked at all. Whoops, I didn't mean to change that. It's not that it wouldn't have worked at all. It's that it didn't work with the imitation that I was about to do in the next phrase, and I didn't. I just didn't like how it all worked out. But if I make that change, you'll hear that it kind of works. Let's hear just these two voices. Yeah, by hearing that D flat and against the E flat, it kind of does work. It gives you basically an E flat 7 chord. It gives you a 5 chord. But then the next phrase then was going to go to 4, because the next phrase was supposed to start. Oh no, the next phrase in my original version went to G. And if I did that here, if I made this melody be G, if I did that, this didn't line up at all. Right? I get dissonance all over the place. And so I decided to break with my original melody right here to get the harmonic scheme that I wanted to work. So by doing that, I knew I was going to get some dissonance here, but I made some changes to that phrase, harmony, and changed it to harmony. And then that allowed this to imitate at harmony. And it was really the fact that I knew I was going to have to harmonize this A flat, and I was going to want an F against it, because that's a nice harmony. I wanted those moving sixths. So I knew this phrase needed to start with an F. So I needed the previous phrase to work out in a way that would lead to that F. And that's how I ended up with what I ended up with, which was harmony, because that leads nicely to harmony, right? So that's kind of how that got there. So let's take a listen now to how this canon works. But it's still the case that I made that adjustment, harmony, and you can see the imitation, harmony, and I made an adjustment here. My original version had an A flat. Let me play it for you both ways, and you can check this out. I'm just going to play this little fragment here from, I'll start here with harmony and go to here. So that was originally not an A natural. It was originally an A flat. So let's hear it that way. Right? That works too. It works really simply. And that's how I originally wrote it. But then, as I looked at what was happening here, I realized that what came next, let me play it a little further this time. It's going to basically kind of a B flat minor sound, right? We have the B flat on beat 2 here against the D flat. We have the F against the D flat, and then a B flat a beat later. So we have a kind of a B flat minor sound. And I was like, man, wouldn't it be really nice to make that A flat into an A natural so that I have a secondary dominant type of sound, a tonicization, that in the key of B flat minor, A is the leading tone. And then I harmonize it when I added my bass part. I put an F below it. And when I did the descant part, I gave it a flat 9 because, yeah, you can't take the jazz out of me, right? So let's listen to how that all sounds then. This chord ends up being like a really harmonically rich chord that we haven't heard yet. And that's part of how I knew I needed to add the simpler round up front, because it would have been too early in the piece for that kind of harmonic richness. But by setting up all that other stuff first, it worked. Plus, I knew I wanted a round. I knew I wanted something simple. I just couldn't resist writing something complicated first. So here's what it sounds like, that section. So that's what I wrote first, and really though it was just the canon here without the extra part. So let's hear actually what I wrote first. It started at the beginning. Every once in a while it seems like it wants to do that. Ignore where I just told it to start and starting somewhere else instead. So I want us to try that, right? We've sung, let's sing just the kind of original melody here, and then we're going to try singing it at the 5th, and then we'll wrap up, all right? So U is going to be our starting point. Count to 2, and let's sing it together. Let's just sing it together. 1, 2, universal song, unison and harmony, sharing life, sharing life, sharing life today. How'd you feel about that? Just in the interest of time, let's move on, because I want to sing this guy, the one starting at the 5th. It's going to be the same melody shifted down to start at the 5th. Some of the intervals are going to be a little different, half steps instead of whole steps, because other than the A natural, I kept it in the key. But I think you'll find it's, you've already sung essentially this melody before. I think you'll find that it really does work out about the same. So here's our start note. Let's try this. 1, 2, universal song. Scored. Oh, crap. You're so right, because I killed my screen share. Thank you, Dean. Sorry about that. Silly me. All right. So let's make another pass at the first melody first, and now that you can see it. So this is this So it's the original melody that I wrote first, but you all haven't sung yet. So here we go. 1, 2, universal song, unison and harmony, and harmony, sharing life, sharing life, sharing life today. Okay, now let's try the tenor part, the imitation at the fifth. You, 1, 2, universal song, unison and harmony, sharing life, sharing life today. Okay, we're going to do one final run through of picking apart and singing it. All right, pick one, sing. I'll hit play, you sing along. All right, so it's either going to start with uni or you're going to start with uni. If I sang this in the correct octave, it would be universal song. That's about as far as I could sing in that octave. Universal or universal. All right, I'm going to count 2 and then it'll start, and just either start singing right off the bat or wait 2 bars to come in, your choice. Here we go. 1, 2. All right, one final element here. I'm just going to go from the beginning. And this time, I'm just going to let everything play so we hear the whole thing. But I'm going to encourage you to sing along, to pick a part to sing and sing it. All right? So I'll have the comment window up here. Can I? Yeah, I just want to see if any new comments come in. But I don't want to, oh, I messed it up. Crap. Because I don't want it to be the case where it blocks any of the score, right? I want to see new comments, but I don't want it to block anything. So here we go. Almost there. There we go. All right, so I'm going to start from the beginning, and you all can just pick parts, move around as you see fit, or just listen. I don't really, it doesn't matter, but I encourage you to sing. And that's what we'll have for today. So let's go ahead and hear this thing and sing along. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed the the process of going through this, of trying to sing along, trying to sing in counterpoint, and getting a little bit inside the process, my thinking as I put this piece together, what was involved in doing it, how that all came together. And yeah, the tech issues are the tech issues, and that's life. And but hopefully you got something out of this. And I guess I will just leave this speaker setup going while I play our theme music to finish things out. So again, this has been Marc Sabatella with the what is this called? The Music Masterclass, and I will figure out probably moments after this is done why I'm having to play through my speakers, and that's just whatever it is will turn out to be something silly, I'm sure. Anyhow, next week will be the start of the next kind of session of musicianship skills, so expect me to be talking about improvisation some. All right, so everyone, have a good week. Make some music, post it. Let's all give each other comments, give each other support, and enjoy the process of making music, all right? Go ahead. Thanks, everyone. See you next time.